Hey, whippersnappers, this is TortimerTheGreyYT. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Pokemon Showdown Gray version Season 2. Today is actually the finale of Season 2 of the Gray version because this is the champion battle. So today we're going up against the Acolytes of the Champion as Codeman leads off with Hoxton, the Defense Deoxys, and Skipped Leg Day switches into a Stone Edge from Hanu, which is going to do enough damage to force the emergency exit out, which works out very nicely for us. With the rocks there, that thing probably will die on its way back in. Reinhardt then is going to throw up the Meteor Mash, taking Hanu down within killing range of his next attack. And then Sandman is going to come in. Sandman is going to throw up the Hypnosis there on Reinhardt. Reinhardt is going to fall asleep. Bad Dreams doing a little bit of damage, and the Dark Pulse coming up the next turn, finishing off the Mega, I almost said Mega Legion, but Mega Metagross there. Wally West then switches in the Shaman Sky form, and Zuko is going to then come in and Mega Evolve and throw up the Protect there. Going to avoid the Air Slash in that way, and then going to throw up the Blaze Kick there, finishing off the Shaman. Down goes Shaman as I believe no, Arnold switches in. All right, not time for the Mudsdale yet. Arnold going to throw up the Shell Smash there. Zuko obviously still going to be able to outspeed it, but we have to hope that the Stone Edge will land, and this time it actually does. So down goes the Turtonator. Speed boost racking up a little bit, and in comes Cherokee, Codeman's starter. Cherokee's going to switch right on back out, bring in Hoxton as the low kick lands, doing not great damage. I mean, good enough, I guess, considering the resistance, but Blaze Kick finishing off the Deoxys. 4 times speed now, obviously outspeeding anything on the field, as the low kick going to land, the heavy Mudsdale going to take that very hard, even with its high defenses. The defense boost goes up as Zuko goes down. Legion then switching in, going to throw up the Earthquake there, finishing off the Mudsdale. Skipped Legs Day then switches in and is going to go down to the rocks as Acolyte Codeman's final Pokemon is defeated. So thank you so much for participating this weekend in this series, Codeman, since this is the last episode of the series. Special thank you to you for participating week in and week out. Alrighty guys, let's check out what the next Acolyte has in store for us, shall we? Here we go. Alrighty guys, Acolyte number 2 as we go up against Scad and her rival team as Alderney, the Drillbur, is going to go ahead, Excadrill. I was like, wait, no, Drillbur's the Prevo. Goes ahead and finishes off Hanu with the Mold Breaker there, beating through the Sturdy. Ice Beam coming from Sandman after going down to its Sash, finishing off the Excadrill there. Then the Bullet Punch coming from Scad's starter Cobalt and finishing off Sandman. Zuko then switches in, throws up the Protect, and is going to avoid the Earthquake. And then is going to force out the Mega Metagross as Zuko Mega Evolves itself, throws up the Blaze Kick up against the Alolan Marowak, which was obviously originally intended for the Metagross there. The Boomerang unfortunately going to land on Zuko and finish him off. David then has to go up against Raceland, who's going to switch in and throw up the Earthquake there. Ivy is then going to switch in, and Raceland comes on out, bringing Fumzy in. Fumzy's pretty well equipped for the Ferrothorn here, and so he's going to throw up the Flamethrower, obviously going to be protected against by the Ferrothorn as the Leech Seed does a little bit of damage there. Ferrothorn switching in against the obvious threat of Fumzy. Fumzy throws up the Flamethrower, it's going to land on Maverick there, the Salamence, and Salamence is going to throw up the Z-Power and finish off Fumzy. So Fumzy goes down in face of the Salamence, Salamence getting a attack boost as Raceland switches in. I trust in Multi-Scale to keep Raceland alive there, throw up the Dragon Dance, and then Dragon Claw Maverick itself and finish him off. So down goes the Salamence. Cobalt then comes in, going to throw up the Bullet Punch, and that's going to be enough to finish off Raceland, and then Legion switches in. So we have regular Metagross up against Mega Metagross. The Earthquake lands, but not going to be enough to finish off, and Scad's starter is going to finish off the battle for her. She still had the Mimikyu, which we never even saw, and the Ferrothorn, so a very strong battle from Scad to finish off this series. So thank you so much for participating this week, Scad. I'm glad you had a nice showing in your final rival battle, and I'm glad you participated week in and week out. Alrighty guys, let's see what the next Acolyte of the Champion has in store for us today, shall we? Here we go. Alrighty guys, up against Celine Eleanor and her team, leading off with Nose Pass. We both get the rocks up there as Hanu is going to take a hard Volt Switch from the Nose Pass, taking it on out. Hanu's then going to throw up the... No, I guess the Volt Switch was that same turn. Hanu's going to take a Thunderbolt and go down, essentially, up against the Mega Mewtwo there. Sandman then switching in, going to take an Aura Sphere from Mega Mewtwo as well and go out. Which is a little bit unfortunate because Sandman's pretty much my only special attacker on this team, so hard to lose that immediately early on. But Legion able to come in, Mega Evolve, and finish off the Mewtwo there. Electivire then gonna come in, gonna go down to an Earthquake from Legion, and then Deoxys switches in as well, exerting its pressure. And gonna throw up the knockoff up against Legion. Legion gets the Meteor Mash off though and finishes off the Deoxys. Nosepass then switches in as Legion is gonna throw up the Meteor Mash once again, finishing off the Rock type there. I think that the Nosepass is Celine's starter there. Not sure why it's a Nosepass. I guess it had Eviolite, so maybe just stats-wise that's better off than a Probopass in general. But Zuko then coming in after Legion goes down, going to set up the Protect as Skarmory throws up the Roost, healing off whatever damage Legion was able to throw up there. Zuko throws up the Blaze Kick and going to take a Brave Bird from the Skarmory going down. At which point, Fumesy switches in, and Fumesy is going to throw up the Flamethrower here, up against the Roosting Skarmory. Going to be a crit and finish off the Skarmory. Not entirely sure if that was necessary, but it might have been. So I feel a little bit bad about that. But in general, we like to think that that's just part of the game, and so I don't feel too bad. Fumesy takes the Pulverizing Pancake from the Snorlax amazingly well. I was shocked at how well he took that Z move. And so Snorlax here is unfortunately going to... it's going to be a little bit of a stall thing here for a little while as Fumesy and Snorlax just kind of chip away at each other. Fumesy finally getting Snorlax down within range where I believe the burn is going to finish it off here on this turn. Yes, there goes the Snorlax, and victory is ours. So, thank you so much for participating this week, Acolyte Celine. I greatly appreciate it. And for all of you guys who participated week in and week out, especially you, Celine, I greatly appreciate it. So, let's check out the next battle, shall we? Here we go. Alrighty guys, here we go up against Acolyte Epic Big Nick, and he leads off with Diggy, his Excadrill, as we both set up the rocks, and then he sets up the Rapid Spin. I throw up the knockoff there, getting rid of the Focus Sash, which I guess would have happened either way, no matter what attack I had used, but Excadrill switches out in face of the potential Aqua Jet, and Hanu's going to go down. So Zuko then coming in as Leafa switches on out. Hats then, which is Epic Big Nick's starter, switches in, and Zuko is going to start getting that speed boost going as Hats also Mega Evolves, and so we've got a Mega Blaziken showdown here. We're each protecting on off turns at this point, so there's going to be a little bit of time where not a whole lot is happening. But I believe instead of protecting this next turn, I'm going to go ahead. Yep, I throw up the Stone Edge there, do some pretty decent damage to Hats, but Hats is in the end going to come out victorious over Zuko and finish it off with a Brave Bird. Legion then coming in, which seems like an odd thing to do for Steel type, but at this point, I hope that Legion's Bullet Punch can finish off, but Hats is going to switch out as opposed to going down at that point. Legion then throws up the Earthquake, finishing off the Excadrill. Squishy then switches in. I throw up the Earthquake. It does not do very much damage up against the Zygarde there, and Legion's going to throw up the Zen Headbutt. He's basically just, you know, doing what he can until he goes down. So Legion goes out, at which point Sandman's going to come in, and Sandman's carrying Ice Beam largely this week for the likes of Cherokee, Codeman starter. We had a couple of Mudsdales in some of the other rival week battles, and so I didn't want to get stuck up against that. I don't really have a whole lot of special attacking going on this team, so Ice Beam's largely there, but it does help out against Excadrills and Zygardes and other Pokemon as well. Fumesy is up against the Big Whale, or Ho-Oh? I was instructed there was supposed to be a question mark there as Fumesy goes down. Sandman then switches in, gonna throw up the Dark Pulse there, does not do very much. That's even a crit there, the Aeroblast landing on Sandman. We throw up the Hypnosis there, and then I think we go for the Ice Beam, but I believe that Epic Big Nick switches out. Yeah, switches out, brings in Scarlet. Scarlet's going to take the Ice Beam very well, as the Psychic also comes out, just not able to do a whole lot here, as the Z-Power Oceanic Operetta finishes off Sandman, leaving us with just Raceland, our Dragon type up against a Fairy type, and we throw up our Z move, the Gigavolt Havoc, and finish off the Primarina there. At which point Leafa switches in and has the Hidden Power, I'm assuming Ice, and it's going to do some good damage to Raceland. Raceland throws up the Dragon Claw, not enough to finish off the Superior, unfortunately, and it gets the Paralyze off. And Raceland's going to take another hard Hidden Power, finishing off the Superior with a final Dragon Claw. Hats then switches in and is going to just be far too quick for Raceland to have any hope of getting a move off. And Hats is going to claim victory for Epic Big Nick and his team of champion acolytes. So, thank you so much for participating this week, Epic Big Nick. I greatly appreciate it. It means a lot that you guys have continued to support the series week in and week out. And I'm saying this at the end of every battle, which is probably getting annoying. So, we're going to move on, but thank you guys so much for participating. Here we go. Alrighty guys, battle number 5 up against the Espresso Cat as he leads off with his Pidgeot and then switches into Deezer, his starter. Hanu's going to take a Will-O-Wisp there and throw up the knockoff. Does very little with the burn having our attack. And so Deezer is going to do some really good damage up against Hanu. The burn almost finishing us off, and then the Shadow Sneak coming in before we can even do a tiny bit of chip damage with the Aqua Jet ourselves. Sandman then switches in, but Angel is going to come in and take the Dark Pulse there. Angel goes ahead and Mega Evolves as the Dark Pulse going to finish it off at this point, so that works out pretty nicely for us. Mobe then switches in as Sandman going to come on out, bringing in Raceland. We've already seen Raceland throwing up the Gigavolt Havoc, and I figure there's no better time to do it than now, so we just go ahead and get the Whale Lord off the field before an Ice Beam or something comes out of nowhere. Raceland then sees itself up against the Magnezone, throws up the Dragon Claw to destroy the balloon. Gonna take a hard Hidden Power though and go down. Wasn't even a crit, but that Hidden Power Ice coming from the Magnezone, I'm assuming taking down Raceland. Legion comes in then and throws up the Earthquake. Sir Nicholas going down in favor of the Magnezone there. Throws up the Meteor Mash up against Carry. And then Deezer switching in, we get the Shadow Sneak on Legion, which hurts a little bit, but the Zen Headbutt doing good damage to Deezer as well, and finishing off with the Bullet Punch there. Magnezone then switching in ECAT's last standing Pokemon, and a critical hit there, which was not a factor. That was going to go down to just a regular Earthquake too. But a good battle up against the Espresso Cat here. ECAT used some of his favorites from the Nuzlocke that he's done on his channel. So some familiar faces like Carrie and the like. Yeah, thank you so much for participating this week, ECAT. I greatly appreciate you sticking it out throughout the whole series. Let's jump into the next one, shall we? Here we go. Alrighty guys, here we go up against Acolyte Update as Swirl, the, what is this thing called? Minoir. The Scourge of the RU tier makes its debut again in Anything Goes. I'm like, wait, what tier are we in? We throw up the Aqua Jet there and do some good damage to Swirl. Shields go down, and Hanu's actually going to be able to finish off this little bugger here. I really want to use that Pokemon. It's just so ridiculously cute, even. I want to use it at some point. Okay, Axel comes in then and is going to be setting things up. I can't remember, update, who your starter was. I feel like it was Axel. I'd have to go back and check, though. But yeah, so Axel doing some good damage up against Hanu, and Sandman able to hang on with the Sash and finish Axel off with an Ice Beam there. Evil Pupper, the Arcanine coming in, throwing up the Intimidate and the Extreme Speed. Despite Darkrei's looks, it is a Dark type and not a Ghost type, and so able to be hit with moves like Extreme Speed. Zuko then going to Mega Evolve up against Dumpling, though. Don't have a whole lot to do, so I throw up the Low Kick thinking, well, this guy's kind of fat, maybe that'll work for us, and it does. In fact, we're able to finish off the Seismitoad with just a couple of Low Kicks there, Low Kick being a new addition this week. Figuring Anything Goes, we got a lot of big Pokemon, that's probably going to be better than potentially getting ourselves injured with high jump kicks, so Zuko's attack getting lowered. We're going to switch out in favor of Raceland going up against Justin the Dancing Pineapple there. Going to take a hard Ice Beam, though, and go out before we're able to get the Gigavolt Havoc off and finish off the Lombre. Fuse's going to take a hard Hydro Pump and I think land the Will-O-Wisp here. Not going to do a whole lot for hurting its attack power, but able to at least chip away at its health for a little bit. At which point, then, I believe that Legion comes in. Legion's going to take a Fire Punch from the Lombre, which does not do a whole lot. And then we're going to get the Zen Headbutt off, which finishes off the Lombre, leaving Update just with his Porygon Z there. Porygon Z is going to set up the Z conversion. Turning to Ghost type, we've seen this in some gyms previously, but the Shadow Ball going to land and finish off Legion easily. Zuko then switches in, going to throw up the Protect there to get a little bit of a speed boost going. And Zuko's going to get that going, but not going to be enough, and going to take a hard Shadow Ball. Doesn't even crit, but it does have a lot of attack boosts, so I guess it didn't have to, but I was hoping Zuko could take at least one of those and potentially land a move, but alas, it was not meant to be. And so, Acolyte Update, going to take the victory in this week's battle. Thank you so much for participating week in and week out, Update. I greatly appreciate it. You were a fine addition to this series this season, because I know you joined us part of the way through, thanks to one of your other friends who was in the first couple of episodes. But yeah, I appreciate you being around and being a supportive part of the community. Alrighty, guys, let's move into the next battle, shall we? Here we go. Alrighty guys, here we go up against Acolyte Shunosaurus, and Shun was very insistent. He wanted to use his beloved Catmons once we got to the Anything Goes tier, and I didn't see any reason to deny him doing that. So, Shun is going to come here with a couple of the fun Catmons that the Smogon community has created over the years. I really like this. Actually, this the whale, I can't remember what it's called. And it's scrolled up too fast. But that ground whale Pokemon was one of the first Pokemon that they created in Cap after I found Smogon. Like, they were in the process of creating that guy when I originally started hanging out on Smogon's forums and stuff. So, nice to see him in play there. Wendy, the Dragalge, is going to come in and get burned by Zuko's Blaze Kick. Zuko's going to go ahead and switch on out, though. Not a whole lot we can do up against Wendy. Basically, sacrifice Fumzy at this point. The Devastating Drake comes in, uses up the Z move. Just didn't really have a whole lot of need for Fumzy in any of the players that we had on the field anymore. Wendy's going to go down to a hard Earthquake as Legion goes up against Drac. Going to take a hard Fire Blast and go out. Drac, another cat Pokemon, Fire Water type, which is a type we desperately need in vanilla Pokemon. Not because we desperately need it, just because why don't we have one yet? There's so many type combinations that we still don't have, and we've got like a bajillion water bug Pokemon now and things like that. It's like, let's get a little more variety just for the sake of it. I know Volcaranian or whatever that stupid legendary is water fire, but I want an actual Pokemon, not some stupid event legendary nobody's ever going to use. Anyway, let's not get on that tangent as Raceland goes up against the Genesect, finishing off with the extreme speed. Raceland goes down. Zuko then switches in. Zuko's going to throw up the Protect there to get a little bit of speed going. Not that it matters too terribly when it's using extreme speed. Not a whole lot we can do about that. But Zuko's going to withstand one and get the Blaze Kick off, finishing off the Genesect there. Speed boost going to continue to rise as Muriel shuns... I believe Muriel is Shunosaurus' starter. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Zuko's going to Protect, get a little bit more speed going just to be safe, and then throw up the Blaze Kick, finishing off Muriel in one hit. So, thank you so much for participating this week, Acolyte Shunosaurus. I greatly appreciate it, and it was fun to see your Catmons in action. I know you've been excited to get the chance to use them for quite some time. So, yeah, I was glad you were able to get those in. I wasn't sure if you were going to make it in this week, but you guys showed up at the last second there, so glad you were able to fit it in. Anyway, guys, we got 2 more battles this week, so let's jump right into them, shall we? Here we go! Alrighty guys, up against our final Acolyte of the week, we have Acolyte Arctic Animal, Hanu and Fred both throwing up the rocks there, as Hanu's going to take a hard Draco Meteor and go down to his Sturdy. The knockoff landing, getting rid of the Citrus Berry on Fred and throwing up the Aqua Jet for a little bit of chip damage as Mac goes for the Fire Blast to finish off Hanu, because what kill is better than overkill? Zuko is going to come in, Mega Evolve, and Protect. The Draco Meteor is going to land, but Zuko obviously behind the shield, going to be just fine. Blaze Kick not doing as much as I would have liked up against the Steel type there, thankfully Zuko's able to evade the second Draco Meteor and take down the legendary. I was going to try and say Dialga. That's its name. Haha! Zuko just goes ahead and stays in, throws up the low kick, which has been pretty useful to us up to this point, and do some good damage to the Kyogre there. Legion then switching in, finishing out the giant whale. As Robin Hoot switches in, I bring in Sandman. Sandman's going to take a bit of a hit from the rocks and the Spirit Shackle, but going to be able to tough it out and finish off Robin Hoot with a Dark Pulse. Roger then switches in, and unfortunately for Sandman is not going to be fast enough. Probably Scarfed Roger is, I would imagine, because Roger switches out in face of Fumsy. Dead God then switches in, is going to get burned. The Ghost Arceus there, getting a little damage chipped away as Fumsy takes a hard Shadow Ball. Throws up the Flamethrower there. Not a whole lot that Fumsy can do up against Arceus. Shadow Ball going to come in and finish off Fumsy, though. At this point, then, Raceland switches in, and Raceland is going to go ahead and throw up the Dragon Dance, hoping that Multiscale will save us a little bit from that first hit, and it does. Raceland's able to survive, throws up the Dragon Claw, though, and not able to finish off the Arceus, as Arceus takes down the Dragonite. At this point, Legion is left, and Legion's going to throw up the Bullet Punch, finishing Arceus off, leaving us up against Oscar, Max Starter, and Roger, the Bunnelby. The opposing Oscar throws up Earthquake, Legion throws up Earthquake, and then Bullet Punch, but not enough to get anything going, and Legion is going to go down. Tough sharing the Mega status with the Zuko this week. Sometimes Legion just doesn't have it in him to finish things out, but that's alright. Mac had a great battle this week. He lost one, what was it, just last week, to be the Ice Leader, but he was tired of that. He's like, nah, I liked winning better, so he's going to go back to winning and finish us off with his own starter there. So thank you so much for participating this week, Mac, and every week, and let's jump into our Champion of the Grey version Season 2, shall we? Here we go. Alrighty guys, here we go, up against Champion Addy, and Addy leads off with Galvantula there, Hanu taking a hard energy ball and going down to his Sturdy, throwing up the Stone Edge, but it is not going to land, and the Bug Buzz will finish Hanu off before he's able to do any measurable damage to anybody. Legion then comes in, thanks to the Clear Body, not going to take any slowing from the Sticky Webs there, comes in and is going to Mega Evolve, Earthquake, and Bullet Punch the Galvantula into Oblivion, at which point Landorus then switches in. I believe at that point Legion switches out. Yes, he does. Fumsy then going to come in and let the rocks get set up as Venusaur comes in to take the Will-O-Wisp. Now, Venusaur is not going to Mega Evolve at this point, which surprises me. It does go ahead and get the Sleep Powder going, though, and going to put Fumsy to sleep. Fumsy just kind of toughs it out at this point. With the Venusaur not Mega Evolving, it doesn't get access to Thick Fat, so Fumsy can potentially do some actual damage here for us if he wakes up, and he's able to withstand most of what the Venusaur has to offer, so I'm not too worried about Fumsy's longevity at this point. The Giga Drake continuing to chip away at Fumsy, help the Venusaur back up a little bit. Fumsy finally wakes up, going to be able to throw up the Crit Flamethrower, finishing off the substitute there, and then Venusaur is going to switch out, bringing Chandelure in for the Flash Fire boost from Fumsy. Fumsy making that mistake is going to go ahead and just take a Fire Blast for his trouble, and then Zuko's switching on in. Zuko's going to throw out the Protect to get a little bit of speed. Chandelures tend to be fairly quick, and or Choice Scarfed, and so Zuko's going to try and get those boosts going as Chandelure switches out. Zuko then continuing to protect, but no attacks coming, so it's not really an issue. Protecting once again as the Z-Power comes through, and this is where we learned that Protect does not protect you from Z-Power moves. I think somebody in the chat said something like you take 30% damage or something of the normal damage. So that was still pretty rough there. Sandman comes in, going to get his speed lowered a little bit, and unfortunately go down to the Landorus. Raceland then switches in and is going to force out the Landorus, bring in the Kyogre. Kyogre's going to Primalize there, Primal Reversion, as Raceland takes the opportunity to set up the Dragon Dance, and then is going to use its Gigavolt Havoc Z-Power there to finish off the Kyogre. Kyogre goes down, and the rain goes with it. Venusaur coming in and going to take an Earthquake from the Raceland, taking on its Poison typing there. Raceland unfortunately falling to sleep there, and is going to take a hard Sludge Bomb from the Venusaur. Raceland is, I believe, going to wake up relatively quickly here. Yes, Raceland wakes up right there, going to be able to finish off the Chandelure, which works out very nicely. Landorus then switching in as Raceland is going to take the Intimidate, lowering its attack boost that it had already put in place back to normal levels. Salamence coming in with more Intimidation, and is going to Mega Evolve as the Dragon Claw lands, still doing pretty decent damage to the Salamence, all things considered, and the Facade going to finish off the Dragonite. Legion then comes in and is going to throw up the Bullet Punch, not enough to take down the Salamence. The Double Edge, though, is going to finish off the Salamence itself. And then Venusaur switches in and is going to go down to the rocks. So, Legion, despite being very, very low there, able to hold out long enough for Addy's team to basically kill itself with on either rocks or with recoil. So, that worked out very, very nicely and was the closest battle of the week. So, a nice fitting capstone to the series. Thank you guys all so much for participating this week, especially Addy, and not only participating this week, but participating in the months-long series that we have been doing. Something like 21 episodes, so it's been a good long while that we've been doing this series, because that's one episode per week. So you guys have done an amazing job. I always love doing these subscriber engagement series, as much work as they generally are, and by the end of it, how much I'm hoping for them to be over so that I can stop sitting around for hours on end just looking for battles and things like that. In the end, it really is so much fun, and I love doing them. So it's going to be a little while now before the next one happens, and I am in the middle of a break on my YouTube channel. We were only like 2 weeks away from the completion of this series when I decided on doing that, and so I was like, you know what, no, we're going to definitely finish off this series. We were just too close. I'm also going to be completing the Pokemon Crystal Wedlock, so that will continue to come out sporadically across the summer. I'm going to try and get a lot of that recorded, and then just kind of put it out as I'm able. But the next subscriber engagement series might be a little while. It definitely won't be until after the summer is over, and then I'm going to kind of wait and see. The next one that we've been thinking about doing, and we'll discuss this more in my Pokemon Discord, so feel free to check the links in the description down below and join my Discord if you think you'd be interested in participating in a subscriber engagement series next time. But probably what we're going to be doing is a tournament, potentially. Maybe it was the Draft League? I don't remember. We have two things on the table. It's probably going to end up being the Little Cup Draft League is what we had discussed. And I think I said that timing-wise, the length of that series would probably end up being about the length that we would want to do for the next one. So it'll probably end up being a Little Cup Draft League, but definitely join my Discord and keep an eye on the channel, because there will be obviously an announcement video coming out for that before that takes place. But that's going to be a couple of months now. But thank you guys all once again so much for participating in the Gray version Season 2. I've really, really enjoyed it. It'll be a while before we do another one of this specific series, if we do a Gray version Season 3 at all. I do have one or two other subscriber engagement series that will be coming before that, so it won't be before 2018 at the earliest, probably. But, you know, one season a year, that could be fun if we decide we really want to do this again. I've enjoyed it. And it's really not so bad, you know, especially since we've just really gotten to the point where we're doing just 2 time slots. The first season we did this, I had like 2 time slots every day. I was like, every morning and every lunch, Monday through Thursday, I was sitting there waiting for battles. But this season, turning it into a position where I was like, all right, here are the 2 windows, make it or don't. Sort of thing has been a lot easier on me doing this series. So, yeah, I will be much more open to a Season 3, having seen how well this season worked out in that respect. But, guys, we're getting close to 30 minutes here, so I'm going to let you all go. Thank you guys once again all so much for watching this series, and especially to our participants who came back week in after week out. You know, we lost some people along the way, but we actually had a record participation through the majority of this series. It got to the point where I had to like start recording the episodes in a very different way in order to be able to compress it enough to get all the battles in a reasonable amount of time, because we were like looking at an hour worth of content with all the people we had battling and things like that, and we had a lot of good battles, even though I lost almost as many I won more battles than I lost this week, but it was pretty close. It was almost 50-50. But even then, most of them were pretty good battles. So they all still went a pretty good long time and things like that. But thank you guys so much for watching. I've been TortimerTheGrey, and you guys have been great. Again, to all of you who participated, thank you so much. You guys are really the lifeblood of this channel. And these subscriber engagement series are always so much fun for me, and I hope they continue to be fun for you guys. But yeah, keep an eye on the channel, keep an eye on the Discord, and we will do it again sometime time. I've been Tortimer the Grey, and you guys have been great. Make sure those likes, comments, subscriptions for me, guys, and I will see you all back here next time. Alrighty, guys. Have a good one.